Ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna have Charlie on now, so I'm about to call him.
Hey, hey.
Alright, how are you doing, man? It's been a while. That setup is looking beautiful. That diamond, what is it? Is it a diamond gold plaque?
Oh, no, that's just the original million subscriber plaque.
Isn't there one for 10?
Yeah, it's like a little stainless steel diamond thing. I don't know if you can see it.
You know, it's no big deal.
It's pretty cool. It's very sweet. You'll have your diamond and million plaque pretty soon.
So what have you been up to, like, on a personal level? I know that you started the Starforge systems. Moist Esports has been killing it recently.
Yeah, I mean, that's really been the main stuff, and then working on some new music, but Moist Esports in particular, we've had some crazy things happening. We announced our Apex team 2 days ago now. We've got a couple more really huge announcements this month.
Anything Yu-Gi-Oh on the table?
The day Konami starts supporting the Yu-Gi-Oh pro scene is the day Moist Esports enters the ring.
That'll be the dream. Did you, like, ever, like, actually consider it or look into it?
No, when Master Duel came out, I was really under the impression they'd support it like an esport, but they clearly haven't yet.
Unfortunately, I don't think that's ever really gonna be a thing, because it's just not marketed to be something that competitive, I feel, right? And cash prize and stuff is a big no-no.
Yeah, I think it's super silly. I think they're really missing an absolutely massive market for that.
So how do you feel about the game itself? I mean, you got to play a little bit of Master Duel, and that's been out for a while now. What was your, like, initial impressions on it?
Oh, I love it. I still like it. I don't play it as much now, though, but I really like the card game. I think the floodgates are getting a little excessive. I tried watching Charlotte, which is a lot of controversy, but I guess seeing, like, the same strategies with floodgates being employed so much was kind of tiresome.
What were you referring to? I'm curious. I'm not sure what you meant by that.
I think it was in...
Well, I'm gonna move on from this subject for legal reasons.
Yeah, no, I don't want Konami sending the muscle to your house or anything to silence you.
You really like Master Duel and stuff initially when it came out and things like that. What did you start running? Is it the Invoked and the Shaddolls, was it?
That's what I started with, but then as I got more familiar with it, I made more wacky decks. So I really settled on Banish-focused decks, so Grin Maju, and then I had like a really wacky Dynamite deck before that became like botted. So anything Banish-oriented, I was heavy into.
People couldn't really tell the difference between you and like a bot.
Yeah, well, no, they could tell the difference because I was slapping some mean meat out there. Kind of crazy.
And wacky deck, you mean like Grand Maju?
No, I mean like it's some really stupid ones like Crooked Cook, just actual dumb ones.
Oh shit! You were on Duel Night recently.
Yeah, I won Duel Night. I fucking slapped him around.
You won, and you have entered your first tournament of sorts, and I guess I suppose we can call you undefeated, right?
Yeah, you know, 100% win rate's pretty good, all things considered.
Do you think that sort of style of drafting and cubing, was that like a fun game mode at all?
It was. I've never been good at drafting. Like, I've done it in Hearthstone, and I was always bad at it. But this time around, I got a little help from Jesse, which was very nice. So that way I wasn't just picking random shit that wouldn't go together. It worked out a lot better and was a lot more fun.
So I'm just really curious, because like you almost don't seem to have anything negative to say about Master Duel, other than like I guess the floodgates and stuff like that. But in terms of like the support and stuff, is there any reason that hasn't like kept you like hooked as much as you were maybe initially? Or do you think that's just like the natural digression of game? You know, when something is new, it's new, and when it's not, right?
No, I definitely think it's a lot to be on Konami's shoulders. I just don't think they really do much to keep players like wanting to keep coming back. Like, I still don't know why they wouldn't introduce like more ranks and bigger, steeper competition, more things to strive for. Like, there's really no goals in Master Duel once you hit the top. There's not a whole lot else to do. It would have been nice if they had, you know, different formats, maybe like they had a GOAT format playlist or something, Edison format playlist, all that. Just, I think they needed more content besides just here's the card game.
What's like your number one thing you would like love to see implemented in terms like a game mode or like a ban list or just anything in the game itself? What would you really want to see?
Absolutely, the playlist for different formats. It'd be so fun to be like, all right, I feel like playing GOAT format today, and you just queue into a ranked GOAT lobby. Like, that'd be so fun. Instead of having to get your friends together to play GOAT.
100%, I agree. That is definitely my number one wish.
Hopefully at some point. They're a little busy with the pachinko machines right now, though, I imagine.
You mentioned Edison and Go, so is that something you've actively checked out or looked into?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. When I learned about Edison, that was like the one that I really gravitated heavy towards, because I think that's just a great era of Yu-Gi-Oh! It's just, you know, there's no way of playing that aside from getting friends together and agreeing to do Edison format, so it's just not something that I've been able to play. I think Edison format's a really fun one, and GOAT, of course, is classic.
Do you think it's because it just has that really nice balance between new and old school?
Yeah, I really think the main thing is just being able to keep up with the pace a little bit better, because right now, modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Is fucking breakneck pace. Your first turn will be like 8 minutes. It's a full combo most of the time, unless you're floodgating, then it's really just pretty miserable. But most of the decks are going to be like an 8-minute combo. You cycle through like 30 cards, whereas Edison, you still have that flair where you can get some really nice turn 1 combos off, but it doesn't draw on super long. It has this nice balance to it, like a good feel. The pacing of the game, I think, is a lot better.
What's your thoughts on GOAT format specifically? Because that's like really old. There are some combo decks, but you know, what's your thoughts on it?
I think it's a lot of fun. I mean, like when I played Duel Night, that's very GOAT format feeling, right? You're there with your boys, you throw some down, you'll like summon one monster, set one back row, pass turn, and let it ride. It's, you know, it's not as high skill ceiling as like Edison format or Modern, but it's just a fun format. It's just one that I think is enjoyable and really nostalgic.
Well, have you tried any modern decks?
Not in person, only Master Duel.
How come you haven't made that step to locals?
I don't know. I was actually thinking about that the other day because a buddy of mine, Caleb, also plays Yu-Gi-Oh, but he actually does do locals, like with his friends he'll go. So I was thinking we'd get together and start doing it, but we just haven't yet. Not for any reason in particular.
Do you see yourself going to a major event? For example, there's Niagara this weekend. Later this in November, there is Pasadena.
No, that's too far away. I'm in Florida and I'm afraid of flying, but I would absolutely go to a big event if it was closer. As long as it's driving distance, I'd be up for it.
So I think you've not really been opening many products recently, have you? Not exactly like the 50k boxes you did in the past, for sure.
Well, I completed the collection, so now I just keep up. I still have all of the cards from the new sets. I just do it off stream now. I'll just open them off stream and get the cards I need. I got everything I wanted, and now I just need to keep up.
What is it about collecting that attracts you, despite the fact you haven't like really went in and physically played? Like, what is the like what for you? Like, what is the pull?
I just really love the art. I think Yu-Gi-Oh has like the best art and rarity system. I don't know. They just look so cool to me. I did it for Pokemon too, but only for Wizards of the Coast ones because I thought they did the best job.
In terms of product, do you think there's anything you'd like to see more of, or is there anything that particularly like interests you the most? I think for you, obviously, it's like the flashy, like cool rarities and stuff there is, but is there anything like you'd think would work really well in Yu-Gi-Oh, maybe from other games, or just general ideas for you?
One thing that I've seen, kind of, Magic the Gathering did it recently. I don't remember what they called it, but they had like their big chase card as just like a normal card you could pull, but then had a variant that was their really expensive one. I can't remember who it was. Chad will probably know, but they had a full art card with like different colors on it. That was your big chase card, but they had that same version in a different art that was lower rarity, so it was cheaper to play instead of having to chase that guy.
The funny thing is, like, that's exactly how it works in Japan, and it works out so that it's like cheaper and more accessible for the game, because if you want to like make your deck all flashy and cool, that's possible, but TCG, you just gotta go buy that card.
Yeah, see, like it's a little much. Like I remember when Triple Tactics Talent was up to like 120. And that was like a core card for a lot of decks for a minute. Would have been nice if they had like some more common pull of that card, you know? Keep it kind of separated where there's this expensive chase card, but then you can also still have that same card with less cool shit around it.
Are you aware of like how much like just a general modern deck, like straight from the beginning, would cost you?
Yeah, it's usually around like 800 to 1400, right? Depending on what you're playing. I was looking into like a modern, was it branded Fusion deck?
That Fusion deck, it's actually coming out tomorrow in Macedo, funnily enough.
I heard, yeah.
That deck wasn't too much. That wasn't the more egregious cases we've had, but I mean, yeah, you're looking at like 500 plus range, and depending on like exactly what staples, and like if you're looking to like play like droplets and prosperities in your deck, you could be easily hit 4 digits.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at. I think it was access codes and also the forbidden droplets, because the forbidden droplets are still in the hundreds, right? Or did they come down?
I don't know about the hundreds, but a little bit less. So they've been reprinted a couple times, but they've only been printed in like high rarity, so they're still not super accessible. And that's exactly what they did with the recent tin that's coming out, the mega tins, which is one of the biggest products that happen annually. Have you heard of or looked at the tins at all?
Yeah, I get the tins sometimes because they'll have like fun rarities in there, but I'm not super big into the tins.
Have you ever seen any like the Japanese rarities that exist? Like there's like rainbow stuff, and it's crazy.
It's so cool. I got the 20-year anniversary thing because they had the Starlight God cards. Those rarities are really cool, but I hate the feel of them because they're like sticky. Like you're getting like pieces of tape with art on them. I feel like, I don't know what it is, but like the actual Japanese printed cards just feel so weird.
What about your Alti collection? What was the hardest one for you to get?
Ooh, absolutely some of the old hero cards. You cannot find some of those. Holy shit. I think it's
I
Air Neos, right? Air Neos is the ulti that hasn't been reprinted.
That's immediately the first thing chat said was Neos. I want to say maybe it's like a copyright reason. I feel like it was during that like upper deck Konami transition, so maybe something to do with that. How much did that cost?
Oh, it was super cheap. My Air Neos looks like ass, but again, it's in a frame. You couldn't tell. Like all the sides are like sheared on it. I'm pretty sure a kid was chewing on it or like crumbling it up or something. But you know, it looks great. Frame.
Is there anything else that you maybe had on your mind or wanted to talk about or bring up Yu-Gi-Oh related?
How do you feel about the state of the game? You're very vocal about Scythe and all that, but overall, how do you feel about the modern format?
In terms of like the actual competitive game, personally, just the thing that everyone says, man, like even like people like you who aren't extremely well entrenched in the game, in the community, you don't have to like be super into the game to notice these major problems. And it's like sitting there being floodgated out or just waiting for your opponent to like play for 10 minutes. It's just a major issue with the modern game, I feel. In my opinion, the best solution to that would be like creating like an alternative format or just supporting older formats more, right? Like Edison, like Go. Because I feel like it's so far gone in one direction that I don't think like trying to fix modern is like the solution. I think you just sort of, you know, let people enjoy the modern game for the people that do enjoy it. And there's plenty of people, like records are still broken in terms of event attendance and all that kind of shit. So the game's doing well. So clearly there's a demand for it. And that's great. For me personally, I'm just not as into it as I was. I would just like to see like the other game modes supported more. Because when you play Edison, it's just a different game, right? It just, there's no way you can compare like setting and passing to like turbo dog shit come dragon special summon. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a whole other level.
Yeah, 100%. I think one thing the YCS does well is they do side events. And I know they do have like some side events for that kind of thing, but it doesn't really feel like they're heavy behind it. I also love the little side goals they have where you can win like the Starlight print sheets. I think that shit's really cool. I just really would like to see more support from Konami like financially for their like actual competition, as well as do a little bit more interesting things to make it appealing to spectators a bit more.
Do you think that's like just like a card game thing? Because I've always wondered that as well. Like one of the cool things I thought about like whenever you watch like a Hearthstone stream, you know, you can literally like hover on the screen and like you can read the cards for yourself, right? But obviously that's a digital game, so that naturally that's gonna be its own thing. I'm hoping maybe with Master Duel we get cool shit like that, right? If we ever see like Master Duel tournaments, things like that I think would go a long way in helping people like read the cards just to see what's going on the field and on the screen and stuff. But even then, dude, you know, you've seen Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like you'd hover over and read that shit. It's like, how are you gonna process that? Like,
yeah, maybe they do some kind of like condensed version of it, like the bullet points of what the card does, as opposed to the entire 4-paragraph.
Like, all right, so I would like to challenge you to a duel if you are okay with that.
Absolutely. You haven't been on the receiving end of my banished deck smackdowns, have you?
That is correct.